So, today we're doing Splunk 2. Splunk 2 is part of the cyber defense pathway for blue teams and incident responders. And it's also part of the Blue Premier series, which was version 2 of Boss of the SOC competition by Splunk. So this is the latest room, or this is the last room that we will be doing for Splunk. But I'm gonna divide the room into multiple walkthrough videos. So in this video, I'm gonna do task 3. In the upcoming videos, I'm gonna be doing task 4, 5, and 6 in order to maximize the apprehension of the concepts. So basically, before attempting this room or before watching this video, if you haven't watched the latest videos about Splunk 101 and both of the SOC version 1, I recommend you to go back and watch the videos, or at least try to start with the rooms in order to build the foundations of using Splunk with practical scenarios. Now, in this room, we're gonna jump directly. There is no hints, there is no introductions, only the questions. So in this video, we're gonna be doing the task 3, answering 100 serious questions. And here you can see some introduction to help you find the answers. But of course, this is not a walkthrough. It's only laid down as, let me say, a helper tool to find the answers. So the scenario is like this. There is a company called Frothley, right? The company was supposed to be acquired by a competitor, but the competitor failed through. And there was an employee from Frothley whose name is Amber Turing. Amber was excited for the acquisition by the competitor, but since the acquisition has failed, she decided to contact the competitor, right, and find more information about why the acquisition failed, how can she extend and enhance her relationships with that competitor. So as your team pulled the logs from the firewalls and various sources, you're required to find out more context about the communication that happened between Amber Turing and the competitor of her company. So let's jump to Splunk now and investigate. All right, so first let me pull the first command here. Okay, no, okay. So here we have the dataset called bots SV2. So we will start with this dataset and see what kind of source types we have. The first question we require to answer is, Amber Turing was hoping for Frothley to be acquired by a potential competitor, as I illustrated, which fell through, but visited their website to find contact information for their executive team. What is the website domain that she visited? So we want to get more information about who is the competitor that she contacted. So first we start with the dataset that we got, and we take a look at the source types. We see around 65 source types. So in order to find out the website, we have to pull the HTTP logs, right? Before pulling the HTTP logs, we have to find out Amber's IP address. So we can filter the traffic and put the source as Amber's email address. Amber's email address is found, you can find the IP address in the Palo Alto Networks firewall logs, which is not listed here. It's only listed the top 10 values. So we can take a look at all the values actually. We see here two values by time. And not the thing I wanted to do, so I'm going to get back. So here we put source type equal pan traffic. Pan traffic is the traffic originated from or collected by Palo Alto network firewalls. So we sift through the firewall traffic and we aim for finding the IP address of Amber. So we use the IP address to find out what is the website that she visited. The machine is kind of slow, so there will be some delay between every query. Still processing the query, which is too slow. So now we get the events from Palo Alto Firewall, and here we want to sift through the events to find out the IP address. Let's take a look at the interesting fields. Scroll down. We see here we got, let's see here, source IP address. So we got 18, with 48% of the hits or count going to this IP address. Let's see if there is anything else. Client IP address, we have got 18. Okay, so here if we typed a keyword like Amper, maybe we can find, maybe we can narrow down the results. Okay, let's take a look at Amper is the name of the employee, by the way. Source IP, we got 1, as you can see. Let's take a look at the client IP. Client IP is also the same, which means this is her IP address. Now we grab the IP address and go back to the query, replace Amper with the IP address, replace the source type with the hey HTTP logs. So we can type here source type equal stream HTTP. So we want to take a look at the hey HTTP logs or the web server logs where there is it includes the IP address of Amper in the transactions. So we got around 616 logs. If we go down, we see there is a field called URL path, and there is another field called site, which has a list of websites. Now what we can do here, we can just take a look at this, pipe it to a query, table sites, and click on search. And we will have a list of all of the websites that she visited. But as you can see, the list contains many white lists or false positives, and it also contains repetitions. So what we have to do here, we have to, before typing table site, we have to eliminate the duplicate entries using dedup and the field which will undertake the transaction. So site, the field, again, table to site. So now we get the list without any duplicates. But again, we got some false positives like Microsoft, MSN, Windows Update. So we want to sift through the list without any distractions from these domain names, especially that we got multiple pages of results, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So in case you don't have time or are restricted by time, you don't have the, you will not be able, or you will not have the luxury of taking the time and looking at each one of these sites. So I want something practical and you want something flexible that you can apply in order to find the answers quickly. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to go to my notes and grab the command here. So the command is similar, or is actually, yeah, similar to the one of the commands I applied in the last video, in which I filter the websites that I don't want to show in the list, using or and not as a conditional statement. So if you don't know what this is, get back to the previous videos, the latest two, to find out why I use this or how to use this. So basically I filtered Microsoft, excluding Windows, everything that could be false positive. And I click on search. So you see now the list somewhat shrinked, and I got only around 5 pages, nearly 4, right? So around 4 pages. As you can see, we got some domains, Now, given that the company of Ampere is Frothley, we execute this answer also in those updates. Um, Looking at the other domain names, we see they are kind of unrelated to the scenario, like the digital certificates domain, and we got some graphics, CDNs. If you go to second page, you see here the same. You can also exclude these domain names by just typing here or site equal star dot jvt1.com. This will shrink the list a bit, not too much. So as you can see, we excluded one page now. We can still shrink the list more. Let's see here what we can do. So also we can type or site equal dot. We see a repetition or more than one occurrence of this domain name, so we exclude this SYMCB. Okay, cleaned up a bit. Let's see, second page, if there is any repetition. Other domains, GoDaddy, Monster, 3. Okay. Tail target, we can exclude tail target also, or site equal star tail target, or site equal google.com. This is the latest page. So all of these pages are known to be not related. You see here, name, not Gary Kissler. Let's take a look at this. It's not the answer, but you may take a look at these domains. Every distinct domains here, when you see unique domain names, you may take a look at this, but they are countable actually. That's why this is the final list that we can get after cleaning the sites. As you can see, not the answer. The answer is this one. All right, so Ampere found the executive contact information and sent him an email. What image file displayed the executive contact information? Answer, example is path image extension. So after Ampere visited the site, she wanted to get the contact information of one of the executives. So she found the contact information in an image file. So you want to find out what is that image file. So after having after having extracted the domain name of the competitors, we can add this to our query to enhance our search. So we're going to remove all of this, keep the HTTP, keep the source IP address, and type here the domain name as a keyword. So we got around 12 events, which is good. Now let's look at the fields. You see we have a field called URI path, and it contains URL paths that have been visited by Ampere. So definitely the answer lies there. So what we do here, we only have to formulate the answer or formulate the results by using the table and type URI path. So we list the URL path that have been visited in a table. Not the best, but as you can see from the name actually is indicative of the answer. Images CEO Burke. So by clicking on this image, she has got the contact information of the CEO. What is the CEO's name? Provide the first and last name. So now we have to find the CEO first name and last name. You may be wondering if we can find this first name and last name in the website. Definitely the first name and last name of a CEO should be in the website, but here we don't have the luxury or have the ability to browse the site. If you try to browse the site here, it will give you, it will yeah, it's down actually. So basically, we don't have the option of looking in the site to find the CEO name and surname. So we have to rely on the context. So why did she get the contact information? In order to communicate with them. How? Using emails. So we use the email communication from now on, or from this point forward, to find out the rest of the answers. So we're gonna cancel or remove all of this, or let's say remove this one and the IP. And instead of HTTP, we want to investigate the email logs. So we type SMTP. SMTP is a protocol for email communication. I don't know. Click on search, and from that point on, we can construct a query. Let's take a look at the fields. So indeed, we have around 50,000 and counting worth of events for email communications. So let's see here the fields. So what do we got? Source MAC, source port, source IP. So in the fields here, we don't have anything that we can use to filter through the events to find the email or to find the name and surname directly. So you have to rely on another method, which is the keywords. So using the keyword amper, we filter through the logs or the events that contain the keyword amper in the emails, which means we are filtering through the events where amper is listed in the emails as a sender or receiver. So we click on search. So we get around 26, which is good. Now let's take a look at the events. We highlight, as you can see in the first event, there is a field called sender and the name of amper Turing, and it's her email address, right? So now we grab the email address of amper, although it is not required in the questions, but it is required to find the answer. It's not required as a direct answer, but you need this email address to find out the rest of the answers. So I put the email address of amper now in the search query to list all of the events that contain this email address. I will click on search. So we get around 19 events. Now, in order to hone our query more, we can put the domain name of the competitor. Why? Because we want to narrow down the events to only those which contain the communications between amper and the company, right? So we type here Berg, this is domain name. So we get around 4 events. Now 4 events is actually something doable. We can sift through the 4 events and find out the details. Now here, details are descending, or the sort of the listing is descending. So we scroll down the first event, which was on 29/8/2017. As you can see here, the sender was amper and the receiver is not listed. Now, to extract the information, we have to show as raw text. By showing as raw text, we can find the answers. So basically here, looking at, so from amper Turing to mberg at bergbeer.com. So this is the email address, supposedly, or most probably, the CEO email address. So if we take the email address and answer with the question here, we can find out that it is the right email address for the CEO. But ironically, you can find the answer for this question and still this question is not answered. So we have to find out the name and surname. So we scroll down and we see here the content type. The content type shows us what was the content and the body of the email. So highlighting this, Mr. Bernhardt, I was very sorry to hear about the acquisition falling through. I was very excited to work with you in the future. I have to admit, I am a little worried about my future here. I would love to talk to you about some information I have regarding my work. So you may be tempted to take this and answer with it, or consider it as the name or surname of the CEO. I tried this and it was wrong actually. So what we do here, we show highlight syntax and go to the next event. The next event is from the CEO himself, M. Burke, and we click on show as raw text, scroll to content type. So here we got the field, let's see, content transfer, content type, plain text, and here is the content itself. Hello Amper, glad to hear from you. Yes, it is unfortunate. Then what is this? Okay, things turned out. It would be great to speak with you directly. I would also like to have Bernhard on the call, as I think he might have some questions for you. So Bernhard actually is another person, and it seems that he's the employee in the company Bergkeeper. So, which means that the Bernhard is not the name of the CEO, it is the name of the employee. Now, we continue on. Give me a call this afternoon if you're free. Martin Burke. Given that this email was sent from the CEO, and in the signature here we see his name. So the answer is Martin Burke, the CEO's first name and last name. The email address we already answered. After the initial contact with the CEO, Amper contacted another employee at this competitor. What is the employee's email address? So given that the CEO requested Amper to contact Bernhard, it means that the answer of the next question lie in the next event. So first, second, third. The third event we see the sender is H. Bernhard, and the subject is Heinz Bernhard contact information. Now what's the question here? The email address. It's clear that the email address of the employee is this one. All right, what is the name of the file attachment that Amper sent to a contact at the competitor? So you have to look at an event where Amper was the sender. Clearly, not this one. This is the last event. The last event shows that Amper was the sender. We click on show as raw text. Since it is an attachment, we have to look at the very first few lines of the email. So we see here attached file name, which contains the file that has been sent. Take the file name and answer with it. What is Amper's personal email address? Now, taking further look at the email, we see there is at the right at content type, we see it is multi-part mixed base 64. Also here, if we start from, in order to decode that, we have to start from the point after it says base 64 here. So you copy this all the way till the next content type, and we go to some base 64 decoder online. Paste here, decode. So thanks for taking the time today. As discussed here, blah blah blah. Mail from me now at Amper is the best, and we have here some part of the domain name, and the rest is kind of not clear or redacted. So we have to look at another piece of base 64 text to find out the rest of the email address. So copy that all the way. Let's see here if we have content type or another double quote. So here you go, the last one. So here, let's scroll down more. Okay, nothing is here. The next piece. See, there's double quote here, which marks the end of the string. Okay. Also, nothing is here. Try this one. Let's see how far we can go. Okay. Okay, so you can see email, I can reach you well. So the CEO is asking, what was the name of the girl? Amber to list her email address. So we'll need actually the rest of the domain name of her email address. So we have to keep looking. Base 64, let's take this one. Here is not clear. I remember I found her email address at the earliest pieces here. I don't know why, but it is not showing clearly. Maybe try my luck one more time. So base 64. So in this piece we have found yes, V and V. Yeah, so actually only this part is clear from the logs, but the other part is kinda, let me check, put here ASCII mode. Oh, still the same. Grab the next one. Okay, so see here, this is the rest, or here the email address is looking more clear. So as you can see, Amber is the best, eastbeastie.com, which is the answer for the last question. I hope you enjoyed the scenario. In the next video, we're going to be continuing on the rest of the tasks to learn more about Splunk. And after finishing this room, and given that you have done the previous rooms, I think you will have formed great foundation of using Splunk for incident response. So thank you for watching.